the snowy peaks of Davos, Switzerland, the globalist ivory tower, where the elite sip champagne and plot the future of us, little people, our very own former Bank of Canada governor and now Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, is up there doubling down on the New World Order agenda he announced late last week.
The world has changed much since that last visit. And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the New World Order.
He's waving goodbye to the old rules-based international order, telling countries and companies to rip down their proverbial signs, pretending that we still have a values-based foreign policy. According to Carney, we are in a full-on rupture, not some gentle transition. In a thinly veiled insult to the United States, but I would say also inadvertently to Canada, Carney calls us a middle country, not a superpower, saying that we must adapt or get left behind, a predicament that we were undoubtedly cemented into thanks to over a decade of liberal mismanagement. Listen to him spell it out here.
For decades, countries like Canada prospered under what we called the rules-based international order. We joined its institutions, we praised its principles, we benefited from its predictability. And because of that, we could pursue values-based foreign policies under its protection. We knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false, that the strongest would exempt themselves when convenient, that trade rules were enforced asymmetrically. And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused or the victim. Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Over the past 2 decades, a series of crises in finance, health, energy, and geopolitics have laid bare the risks of extreme global integration. But more recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons. Tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited. You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination.
Carney is all in on building something bigger, better, stronger, and more just. But then he brags about withstanding U.S. pressure even as our economies hooked on trade with them.
Isn't Canada almost uniquely vulnerable to pressure because of the extent of your trade dependence on the United States?
Well, the proof is that we have been able to withstand the pressure, and there has been considerable pressure. I'll give you a couple of facts. We've actually created more jobs since the tariffs were put on than the United States in absolute number. Economy is growing at the second fastest rate within the G7. That's not there are pockets of extreme pressure without question in Canada. But headline, we're reacting. The second thing, and it's a fundamental point, is the recognition that we can give ourselves far more than any foreign country can take away. There's lots of efficiencies in having one Canadian market, the $1 trillion of domestic investment, and building these partnerships abroad, all of which are bigger returns than what's been lost. That's not to say we would rather not lose it, but we can withstand the pressure, and we are.
The conversation then shifts to Arctic threats. Russia is naturally the boogeyman, and so we're beefing up with subs and radars and our NATO pals, who I guess can still keep their signs up about the rules-based old order.
And when President Trump says, oh, you know, Greenland's under threat from Russia, even from China, is that for real?
I would say that there are threat. Russia is without question a threat in the Arctic. Without question. Russia does lots of horrible things, and I'll take the opportunity to condemn their unjustified and horrific assault on Ukraine, almost at its 4th year. They are a real threat. The threat is more perspective than actual at this stage in terms of actual activity in the Arctic, and we intend to keep it that way.
There's also discussion about the Board of Peace invite from President Trump, starting with Gaza. Canada's in, but apparently we have to tweak the structure, ensure aid flows, and aim for a two-state solution, says Carney.
Another big issue that's going to come up this week is this Board of Peace that President Trump is keen on. I'm not sure whether it's for Gaza or for the entire world, but apparently Canada's been invited. Are you going to join?
We have been invited, and let me start by, I think we should recognize the progress that has been made in at least getting towards the end of the first phase of this process, and the activation, if I can put it that way, of the process to set up the Board of Peace is the start of phase 2. Our view is, and that's to be welcomed, and this is a positive vehicle. Our view is we need to work on the actual structure of the vehicle. You just referenced, is it for Gaza? Well, the UN resolution, Security Council Resolution 2803, references a Board of Peace for Gaza. That's where we see it becoming immediately operative, and it needs to be, in our view, it's better to be designed in that way for the immediate needs there. There are many other needs around the world, first point. Second point, it needs to coincide with the immediate full flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. We are still not where we need to be. Conditions still are horrific. So that needs to come alongside. We think there's aspects of the governance and the decision-making process that could be improved, but we will work with others, obviously work with the United States, because we will do anything that we can to improve the situation, the horrific situation there, and to move onto a path to a true two-state solution.
Finally, when grilled on being the epitome of a globalist, Goldman Sachs alum, central banker, jet setter Carney dodges the question, saying globalism's about connections enriching lives, but he admits it won't cover the globe. It'll just be more powerful for like-minded countries pooling resources.
A final question. President Trump and a lot of people who agree with him condemn globalism a lot. And I suspect, you would be the kind of epitome of a globalist. You worked for Goldman Sachs, I believe. You were a central banker. You're comfortable and lived in several countries. Is globalism, first of all, is it a thing? And is it over?
I think, well, look, understanding how the world works, having an appreciation for other cultures, understanding the connections, and being able to, or at least appreciating ways that how we connect, whether it's through technology, trade, investment, culture, can enrich our lives, and that's a good thing, and also help solve problems. Being detached from where you live and the broader needs of society, there is an epithet for that. I don't know that the G word is the one. There's certainly what we're finding, and to go back to the points I was making, is that there are a number of like-minded countries that want to work through partnership to achieve those goals for their citizens and for the world more broadly. The call is for more to recognize what's really going on right now, and to pool their resources to the benefit of citizens. So it won't be global, it won't cover the globe, but it will be more powerful.
Well, I think you should start at a much higher level. Okay? We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum, and the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries.
Pooling resources sounds like more elite control to me. This is Carney, doubling down on his New World Order pipe dream, unmasked at Davos, waving goodbye to the old order. Fellow Canadians, what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. We have a team of rebels on the ground in Davos, Switzerland right now. To make sure that you don't miss a report, please head to wefreports.com. There you can sign up to our mailing list, chip in to support our efforts, and stay up to date on all that is happening there in Davos. That's WEF Reports, WEF Reports.com.